in Canada, and we're staying at my sister's cottage, which is on Stoney Lake in the Kawartha region north of Toronto, and this lake is part of the Trent Canal system. We're staying here for 2 weeks because the Canadian borders are closed, but Canadian citizens can enter Canada as long as they do a 2-week quarantine. And so we came to Canada at the same time as my sister, and the three of us are in quarantine in this beautiful location. And the weather's been pretty cooperative, so we're having regular summer weather in Canada. Oh, there's Mr. Beaver bringing a branch. Loons. Even though we're not on the boat, we're always thinking about the boat, what's going to be our next project. And so this video is going to show you about some of the repairs that we've had on the boat, in particular the DAGGERBOARDs, and solving the issue with the DAGGERBOARD. Those of you who've watched some of our other videos may remember that one of our DAGGERBOARDs broke when we were entering Bahamas. And so when we got a chance to anchor, Pierre took the remaining piece, sawed it off, reversed it, and put it back in the hole. What was the reason for that, Pierre?
Just so that it would have broken fiberglass in the water and tried to reduce the drag.
Do you think that we can lift it?
Without the halyard, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know yet, because right now it still has too much water in it.
So with the DAGGERBOARD reversed and put back in the hole, we sailed all the way from Bahamas back to Boston with no further issue except for slightly worse pointing in the wind. Back in Boston, the new DAGGERBOARD arrived, and the pulley that had been shipped with it wasn't quite the right size, so Pierre wanted to retrieve the pulley from the old piece that was still in the slot. Unfortunately, when he tried to remove it, it slipped and sunk to the bottom. It was low tide, and the tides in Boston are substantial, about 13 feet. So, if he was going to dive for it, now is the time.
That's enough.
No, that's enough. Wait a minute.
Bravo.
That's why it was so heavy. It was full of water.
And it's all to rescue that part that we need.
No, it's rescued.
Are you looking happy, Pierre?
This is pollution. You don't leave that in the water, do you?
And then we have the two dogs who are helping out.
So helpful. Well, I'm glad you got it.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for all the help.
Very little.
Okay.
I had an interesting question from one of the viewers who asked, how do the issues that have arisen so far with your Outremer 5X compare with previous catamarans that you've owned? Well, we actually thought that was a pretty interesting question, and I made a list of whether some of the issues we have come from picking some non-standard items for our boat. And for example, on the mechanical side, the Yanmars we picked are not standard for Outremer. As anyone who watches Sailing La Vagabond knows, they typically install Volvo engines. and we installed Yanmars and Gory props. Also, typical on Outremer boats is not to install a generator and just use the alternators to charge the batteries. Well, we wanted a more sophisticated system with lithium batteries that Tesla-like lithium batteries that Pierre picked, and we wanted a generator, and we picked the Fisher Panda generator. But when I look at my list of the non-standard items that we ordered versus all the standard options, that's not really where it falls. It's just on a boat. It really does take about a year to shake down, whether it's a new boat or an older boat. And Pierre, you said that on an older boat, the easiest thing to do is to remove everything and start again. So
And away we went.
you said the easiest thing is to remove everything and start again. So that's a lot of work.
Well, first, you by doing this, of course, you will know exactly what's in the boat because you installed it. You know where it is, and you know how it works, and it's a beautiful opportunity to take control of the boat. The downside is it's a little bit of work, but very often in an older boat, trying to fix it after the fact, when several people have been working on it for several years, that makes it very difficult to trace an issue. So that's why most people end up laying new wiring over old wiring, simply because they don't want to find the issues with it. It takes too long. But having said that, several times, especially my last two boats, I simply removed everything. It was a lot faster to do it this way. Removed boxes and boxes of wiring and everything else, and just started anew with a new set of wiring. And that proved to be the right choice, because the last around the world we didn't have any single issue with the electrical systems, or plumbing, or anything else.
And the only issue we had, again, was with the motors that were Volvo motors that time.
Yes, because we were supposed to change them before we left, and it never happened. So, yeah.
So when I look at my list of some of the items that we've had to fix, I have here on non-standard coffee maker. Well, that was kind of a silly issue. It was not checking the 50 hertz versus 60 hertz, so European versus North American, and in electrical. And so we blew a couple coffee. We blew one, and we had to repair it, and then blew it again.
So we bought a new one, and it works fine.
Yeah, we bought a new one. It's perfect. But with the other things that we picked, I think the reason we haven't had problems is we were very aware of the difference between 50 hertz and 60 hertz. And so, for example, with the stove that we picked, the washer dryer, they can all do 50 versus 60, with the exception of the pump on the washer dryer, which Pierre is going to change. Yeah. But for now, we switched the boat over back to European 50 hertz. And we had another...
Temporarily, just to do the wash, and after that,
temporarily.
60. Yeah.
And then we had a lot of other interesting modifications we did on the boat, because we wanted, living in North America, we wanted a North American boat, but we do sail in waters where European electricity is the standard. And thank goodness we did put some 220 plugs in, because otherwise the Outremer workers wouldn't have been able to come in and plug in their electric drills or whatever they needed. And some of the other items, I think they're just standard things that break on a boat, and some of them I've shown in the video and others I haven't. Shower pump had to be replaced. I had a video on our water heater issue, here. The changes on the reefing system, I guess we consider those improvements. And yeah, the DAGGERBOARD breaking, so that was a warranty issue, because they did delaminate, and that was a bit unusual.
One of the two boards.
One of the two boards was defective, and so we think the after-sales support has been really good. We did have to send the pictures to show the delamination, but I think that's kind of a normal process. Pierre, can I ask you a question? Mm-hmm. Here you are fixing something with Krista's hot tub, but to finish off my video, I'd like you to tell our viewers why you picked Yanmar over Volvo.
You know the answer. Answer it.
Well, I know that you like the Volvo D3 engines, which are very light and very fuel efficient, but they're too high power for our catamaran, and Outremer didn't want to derate them. And you didn't like the choice of the smaller Volvos, consider them old technology. So the choice then was to go with Yanmar, which has a newer, more modern technology, because they're also light. They're 30% more efficient than the Volvo choice that Outremer was offering. So there are so many choices when you buy a boat, and you got to kind of pick your battles when you're negotiating things with the manufacturer. And Yanmar was something that Outremer was familiar with because they had installed it in one or two other 5X boats, but they really weren't comfortable with derating the smaller but more powerful Volvo D3 engine. So we went with Yanmar.
Now the engine we picked is a new engine. It's a 80 horsepower common rail electronic control, which is beautiful technology and extremely efficient.
The Yanmar engine.
Yeah, the Yanmar engine is 30% more efficient than the Volvo to start with. It's lighter. Technically it's smaller, but because they put all of that, all those electronic gear around it, just makes it a bit awkward to work inside the boat.
Coming back to our list of non-standard choices shown on the left and standard choices or options shown on the right, and the problems column, you can see we have had some things to fix and some problems, but nothing out of the ordinary. So coming back to the original question of how an Outremer 5X and the repairs we've done compare with the other catamaran we've owned, it's not comparable because that was a used catamaran and it took a lot more work. Maybe what is comparable is comparing with a brand new CNC 40 that Pierre owned, and he said the amount of work with the new boat is very comparable. In other words, there are things that need to be fixed, but nothing really out of the ordinary. So if you're a boat owner, be prepared to do a little bit of work to keep your boat ready to go at all times. The remainder of this video will be drone shots of Stoney Lake, Ontario. And if you like this video, please give us some comments. We always enjoy them. And remember to subscribe and push that notification bell because we don't post on a regular schedule, really just doing this for fun.